Hello guys, so today I will discuss the lesson 3 of our subject, which is the sequential control structure and decoding. So from here, you will learn about the logical expression or how to create illogical expressions, okay? Then different operators to be used as well as the decision structure, okay? So let's start. First is the logical expression translation. Okay, so what really is the expression in programming? So the main reason that the code is created are to manipulate, display, or store the data. Of course, no? So, kaya naman tayo guys gumagawa ng program ay para maka-create tayo ng isang program or makapag-display tayo ng isang output based doon sa mga data na nilagay natin or based doon sa mga instructions na in-input natin. Okay? So, expressions or formula are Java way to perform a computations. So, operator are used in expression to do work of the program and to operate on variables. So, meaning, everything in formula use operators. Okay? Let's say for example, equal sign, plus sign, multiplication sign, division sign. So that is all operators. As well as greater than, less than, or double equals, or as well as the exclamation point, which is the not sign. Okay, so expression are essential building block of any Java program, usually create to produce a new value, although sometimes an expression assign a value to a variable, or an expression are built using the values, the variables, operators, and the method calls. Example, we have the expression students is equals to 40. So from this example, we use the operator equal sign to assign the value, which is the 40, doon sa ating variable, which is students. Okay, it is necessarily to understand what Java expect of its operators and the correct syntax of its expressions to get anything accomplished in this language. So we have what we call unary operators. So an operator that manipulate single value is called a unary operator. So meaning the binary operators act on two values. The unary operation used to modify the variables or to change the initial value of our variables. Okay, say for example, we have int student is equals to 40. The initial value is 40. So we can change the initial value of our variable student to another value or in another state. Say for example, from positive 40, we can change that to negative 40. Or from the initial state, which is the positive, we can change this one into negative value using the unary operators. Okay, so that is a variable can be operated on in some instances without an intermediate variable and then reassigned to an original variable or to the original value. So now we have this set of unary operators. So we have operators which is unary negation or yung negative sign. We have bitwise complement. We have incremental operators or the increment operators. We have decrement operators and not operators. So, ano nga ba itong mga operators na to? So, or paano siya ginagamit? First, let's have the increment operators. Okay? So, an increment operators is used to add 1 to the initial value of a variable. So, example, we have the int num is equals to 1. If we use the increment operators, by the way, class, okay, so from the term itself, increment, meaning we are trying to add or we are trying to increase the value or the initial value of our variable. Example, again, now we have int num is equals to 1. So now if we perform the increment operators, which is the plus double plus sign, which is num plus plus, so meaning we are adding 1 to the initial value of our variable. So in this example, the variable num has the value of 1. But since we add the increment operators, which is the double plus sign or the plus plus, after we declare the value of our variable, this means that we also add 1 at a time to the initial value of our variable. So it is like the 1 plus 1 concept, or num is equals to 1 plus 1 concept. Okay? We are trying to add or we are trying to increase the value of our variable num by 1. Okay? So ano naman si decrement operator or the decremental? So vice versa siya ni incremental. From the term itself, decrement or decrease, meaning we are decrementing the initial value by 1 naman. Okay? So example, we have int num is equals to 5, and after the declaration of the variable, we use the decrement operators, which is num minus minus. So meaning this concept naman, guys, is we are subtracting 1 to the initial value of the variable. In this example, the variable num has the value of 5. But since we add the decrement operators, which is the minus minus, after we declare the value of a variable, this means that we also decrease or subtracted by 1 at a time to the initial value of the variables. This is like the num is equals to 5 minus 1 concept. Okay? Next is the unary negation, or we have a sign that is equivalent to minus sign or dash sign. So from the term itself, negation, meaning we are turning a initial state of a variable or a value into negative, or from negative to positive. Okay, let's say for example we have int num1 is equals to negative 15. So the value of our variable num1 is negative 15. Okay, if we use negation or unary negation to num1, which is we put a negative sign after the declaration of the variable. Example, we have int num2 is equals to negative num1. We know that the sign or the value of num1 is already negative. So, we add again negative to the value of a variable or to the variable, meaning negative plus negative. Okay, in mathematical, so negative plus negative is positive. Okay, so plus 1, the result is positive 16. Okay, so vice versa siya. Say for example naman, the value of our variable is positive, then we put unary negation in our variable, meaning we are changing the current state of a value of the variable from positive to negative. The next is the not operator, or we have a sign of exclamation point. So this is used to convert the Boolean state, or from true to false or false to true, or vice versa. Basically, it reverses the logical state of an operand. Meaning, if we have a condition that is true and we put or we use this operator, which is the not operator, from true it becomes false, and from false it becomes in a true state. Let's say for example we have Boolean cond is equals to true. So meaning the variable cond is or has the state of true. Since we declare it's true, then we have int a is equals to 10 and we have b that is equals to 1. Now, if we try to execute this variable, let's say for example system.out.print, so then we use the not operators, we know that cond is in a true state. But if we use the not sign in the cond, it becomes false. Or we have, say for example, is a greater than b. So we all know that the value of a is 10 and b is 1. So this is true. But since we use the not operator, it becomes false. Or we have the third output, which is a less than b. So this will be false. But since we add the not operator, it becomes true. Next is the bitwise complement, or we have the sign of the curly negative sign or curly dash sign. So what does it mean? So from the term itself, bitwise, what we are referring is to the bit of a number. Say for example, we have 8 bit, okay, in a number which is 1, 2, 4, 8, 16, 32, 64, and 128. So that is the 8-bit. Okay, so bitwise not or complement, or what we call bitwise complement operator, simply means that negation of each bit of the input value. It takes only one integer and it's equivalent to not operator. Okay, we are just simply flipping the value of the bit of a number. Okay, so from this example, we have int n1 is equals to 6 and n2 is equals to 2. Okay, if we display the output or the value of this variable, we have n1 is 6 and n2 is negative 2. Okay, but if we use the bitwise complement from this kind of value or from this scenario, we have the bitwise of 6, which is the negative 7, and the bitwise of n2 or the negative 2, which is 3. Next is we have the Unary Operations, or what we call assignment operators. Okay, so assignment operators are used in Java to assign the values to a variable. For example, we have int age, we have the variable of age, and age is equals to 5. So here, equals is the assignment operator, so it assigns the value on its right to the variable on its left. So that is 5 is assigned to a variable age. Here we have the tables of assignment operators or the Unary operations. Okay, we have operators which is equals. Okay, so example, a is equals to b and a or equivalent to a equals to b. Another operator is a or plus and the equal sign, or the mixture of plus and equal sign. So, A plus equals to B is equivalent to A is equals to A plus B. So, tandaan nyo guys yung ating equivalent from our operators. Meaning, what we are trying to do from this one is a simple operations or the shortcut operations of a variable. So I have here example. Okay, example, we have int a is equals to 4. Then we have int variable that has no value. Let's say for example, variable is equals to a, meaning variable is equals to a or 4. So since the value of our variable a is 4, so assign the value using the equal sign. Next, let's try to create an statement that show that a variable is equals to a, which is the system that out that print line variable using equals plus the variable is equivalent to 4. Now, from the output, kung makikita nyo guys, that a variable using equals is equal or equivalent to 4. So, since dineclare natin na si variable is equivalent to A, okay? Or the var is equivalent to A. Next is var plus equals to A. This is equivalent to variable is equals to variable plus A. Just like guys doon sa ating table kanina. So meaning, we are trying to add 4 plus 4. Kasi yung value ng var natin is already 4. Then magpa-plus pa tayo ng A which is another 4. So the output is 8.